Bonjour tout le monde. Bienvenue à la dégustation Raasay en ce vendredi 10 mai. Que les gens se connectent tranquillement. On devrait être au moins une trentaine aujourd'hui avec les petites bouteilles pour la dégustation. Donc, on va attendre quelques secondes encore pendant que les gens se connectent. Entre-temps, je vais switcher en anglais, comme on dit, parler avec Scott. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you. No, great to be here again. I feel like
nice to meet you again. We had a conversation. We just discussed about that before, like two years ago, probably. But this time it will be recorded and available for everyone to look back at it. It's also the first time we do a tasting like this, and pretty nice to have these small bottles and be able to taste, let's say, the ingredients in a Raasay bottle. So really looking forward to do this. So people are joining more and more, and so just for everyone to know, there is a possibility. I will switch back in French and come back to you, Scott, after. Fait que pour tout le monde qui est là, vous pouvez poser vos questions dans le chat, soit sur YouTube ou sur Facebook. Puis je vais les voir de mon côté, puis on va s'assurer de poser des questions à Scott à mesure que la dégustation avance ou à la fin. Donc, n'hésitez pas. Excellent. We are 5 minutes in now, so let's start this. I mean, I think the first thing we can do, Scott, if you want, is to just explain a little bit, small background of Raasay, and then a small background from you as well. Oh, Scott, issue there. Les joies du direct, comme on dit. Ceux qui sont là, n'hésitez pas à mettre des commentaires aussi. Bonjour François. Effectivement, une dégustation comme dans le bon vieux temps. Ah, you're back, Scott. Can you hear me? On va attendre encore un petit peu, peut-être que...
Is that us back and online?
Yeah. Okay, you're back now.
Yeah, we're back. I don't know what happened there. It just kind of cut out. You went very like Darth Vader.
Okay, we're back. So we can start now. That's fine. Kind of things happen. What we can do to begin is maybe just do a quick wrap up of who Raasay is, where you are, and then what's your background and where you come from to have this job that I know a lot of people would love to have. Go ahead and present Raasay first and yourself, and then we can jump directly in the tasting.
Yeah, I won't keep people too long to get into the whiskey. You can hear me okay still?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So the Isle of Raasay is a small island just off the Isle of Skye, which is home to 161 people. Now, the distillery was built in 2017, and the aim was to regenerate the community and provide good quality jobs and ultimately great whiskey around the world. So since 2017, so we're in our 7th year of production, and the style of whiskey we're looking for is lightly peated with dark fruit flavors. Now, the reason we do unpeated and peated is basically to have flexibility in the stock. It means we can do peated releases, it means we can do unpeated, and so forth. And yeah, I think we do all we can on site. So we make all the whiskey, we mature all the whiskey, and we bottle everything there as well. And that also goes down to the bottle design, which these are rocks you can find on Raasay and are molded into the bottle design. So it means everything in the bottle and everything in the bottle is from the island. So, it's a great thing for, rural community. And yeah, it's the only distillery you can stay in as well. So there's 6 ensuite bedrooms. Carl's coming over soon. Eric, we're going to get you there at some point.
Yes.
And yeah, you're all welcome, of course. So, and yeah, a bit of background on me. So I'm the sales manager for R&D Distillers, which has Isle of Raasay brand, and I've worked in the industry 10 years now. So I'm 36 years old. I came back from traveling for 4 years in New Zealand and Australia, and I got asked about Scotch all the time. So I started as a tour guide at Glenore Distillery, close to Inverness. Then worked for Tomatin for 4 years as a tour guide and did a bit of warehousing. Okay. And then joined Raasay, and yeah, the rest is history, as they say. So
awesome.
Yeah, we drink a lot of whiskey. It's a big part of our lives in Scotland, and it's our biggest export. So yeah, good to be a part of it. So yeah, that's a 5-minute quick whip on the Isle of Raasay and Scott Fraser.
Awesome.
So I believe you've got 6 5cl samples of the Nishia, which is it's the 6 casks that make up the core recipe. And the first thing I'd say is they are cask strength. They're double measures, so 50 ml. I wouldn't recommend, if you're on your own, to drink the whole lot this evening. If you do want to, that's absolutely fine. But just so you know, I've warned you that if you're working tomorrow in particular, or you have young children, it's not going to be a good day. So the reason we give those samples is, we could do them in smaller ones that aren't branded, but it's to allow you to come back to them or share them with somebody as well. So I think it's important to have a little bit of liquid. This tasting's quite quick. It's over an hour. You can come back to the whiskies and certain ones that you like. So just to check that everyone's got the 6 whiskies. So in order that we're going to do them, so it's unpeated chinkapin, unpeated ex-bordeaux red wine, and then the unpeated ex-rye. And then no prizes for guessing the order of the peated ones, which is exactly the same, but in the peated variation. So it'll be the peated peated chinkapin, peated ex-bordeaux red wine, and then the peated rye.
Awesome. Perfect.
So Great. These are cast, as I said, cast strength. Although we've not taken the measure, well, actually, you will have measures on those, on the little samples. So there probably is an ABV on the bottles.
Yep.
They'll be ranging between 59 and 62%. And given it's younger whiskey, that's, it's not, it's pretty powerful stuff. So I would recommend trying it without water and then trying it with a bit. I mean, you guys know whiskey better than probably anyone, including myself, but it's worth just highlighting that, water goes a long way in some of these drams.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. I will taste them for sure on my side without water at the beginning, and probably just try it later and the second time with water. I like to taste it the way you present it to us. So that's my way to do it.
Okay. I think we were going to show a short video, but I think we maybe should go into the first whiskey so that they've got something in your glass. So moving on to will we go straight in, Eric, into the whiskies?
Yeah, we can. I can start the video if you want, and we can go on the whiskey after, or we can go on the whiskey and at the same time roll the video. So I let you maybe present the first whiskey, and then we'll start the video.
Yeah, I know when I do whiskey tastings and somebody's presenting and there's whiskey on the table and I'm not allowed to drink it because I have to listen and watch things. I don't like that. So let's make sure you've got a whiskey while you watch this short video. So the first one's the chinkapin virgin oak. So on Raasay, we do half unpeated, half peated, as I said. More recently, we've been doing 3 months of each to give us a bit more versatility. In the early years, it was 6 months unpeated, 6 months peated. So the unpeated stock, it really allows the spirit to come through a bit more. Peated flavors do hide or mask some of the distillery character, and that goes not for us, but for all distilleries. So the unpeated really allows the fruity kind of nature of the spirit. So we are relatively small in production, around 200,000 litres of LPA a year. And the distillery is designed as a new distillery to be one shot. And what I mean by that is 1 ton mash tun, 5,000 litre wash back, 5,000 litre wash still, rather than having to have 2 mashes or 2 wash backs.
Okay.
So chinkapin, why do we use chinkapin? It's Quercus muhlenbergi, which doesn't sound that easy to say. So we call its colloquial name's chinkapin. And it's just a much sweeter wood, less harsh than Quercus alba. It's still an American oak, but just allows, as a young whiskey, a base that gives a lot of flavor, a lot of character very, very quickly. So you're going to get a lot of the kind of bourbony notes you would get because it's a virgin oak from it's American white oak. So, vanilla, butterscotch, etc. We are non-chill filtered natural color, as you'd expect. Yeah. And this really, although it's not the biggest component in the core single malt, it allows a bit of depth. It allows it's a more narrow flavor, I would say, than the red wine and the rye, but it allows a base of color, heavy flavors very quickly, which is really fundamental at a distillery of our age.
Awesome. So you were talking about the size of the distillery. So 200,000 liters. It's quite small, as you said. No plan for now to grow or to add things. It's good. That size makes you work well and have the volume you want. And
yeah, that's a good question. So we've moved from, we were initially 10 shifts a week. So Monday to Friday, 6 till 2, 2 till 10. We've now moved to 12 shifts a week. So Sundays are also 6 till 2, 2 till 10.
Okay.
Is that right? Yeah, that's right. No plans to, as the brand grows, we will look at ways to grow production, but there's also an element of how people live on Raasay. So, night shift is an obvious growth, but fundamentally people don't live on Raasay to, it's a lifestyle choice. And I think there's positives to living there. I would say there is probably some negatives. I live in a city, although I'm from the Highlands, so I appreciate both sides of life.
Yeah.
And, we really never want to have a night shift, basically. So I think there's maybe growth to 7 days, 14 shifts. Any more than that, we would look to expand the distillery rather than, go night shifts, because I think it's, the community and staff aspect's important. One thing just to finalize on that, it's not the easiest site to add on to.
Yeah.
For any of you that have been there, it was very much built into the hill with this size in mind. That's not to say you can't do it, but it's part of the charm too of a small distillery. It's done in a, it's not, whiskey distilleries are factories ultimately, but they have to have more than that to, to have this following and meaning. And I think you lose it if you go. Yeah, I'm not going to name names, but I've worked at a few distilleries.
Yeah, awesome. So I can share the video there.
And can I just say on the video, this is really to show, it's actually about showing more than whiskey. So showing how, you know, almost everyone in this video is connected to the distillery and how it's changed, you know, lives there rather than purely whiskey based, which is, you know, it's big. But anyway, I'll let the video do the talking.
Good. You can comment after as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. So did you was the sound there too on your side, or?
I couldn't hear it, but it might be I'm having connection issues anyway. So, but look, I think it's the visuals that are important there. It shows everyone in that video, you know, from Ross cutting the logs, he's the head distiller, to, you know, Chloe is our visitor center manager. And yeah, I think it shows the impact that supporting our distillery has. And, you know, we were talking earlier, Eric, that, you know, I'm from the Highlands. I have family from the islands, and I used to travel on Skye, and I never knew Raasay existed. And if I didn't know it existed, then how's anyone meant to know in Quebec or anywhere else in the world? So yeah, it's a special thing to see. So
absolutely, yeah. People are commenting. I think there were no sound, but yeah, I will add on the comments anyway the link to the video directly on YouTube, so people can just go and have that video again just for them.
Yeah, and if you can, you know, if you share it on socials, etc., it just grows the people learn about the brand, etc. So, you know, really appreciate the support you guys have all shown, Eric, you know, Carl, you know, Towers Distillery. It's great. Should I give a bit of context to what we're drinking as well with the Nashia? Because I think we dive straight into the chinkapin. So I know a lot of you have joined us already for these tastings. Now you're probably one of the final groups that will taste the current Nashia range, which is the non-age statement version.
Okay.
So it's a deconstruction, effectively, of Alistair Day, one of our co-founders' recipe. And that was really to come up with a great whiskey at a young age, and really felt, you know, doing bourbon and sherry, as great as it is. We have our sherry edition here.
Yeah.
It really, you know, to make it complex with depth, you needed a mix and variety of casks. And that's where we came up with the Nashia. And, you know, you're trying the chinkapin at the moment. What we're looking to do is to basically grow through the ages with this releases. So when we released these 2 years ago, what year are we in? 2022. We released it with white labels, and one of the feedback from Carl and the US and so on, great liquid, all looks the same. So we've just finished the design work on the bottles, and you were one of the first people to see it. Eric, are you able to share or not? Or
Yeah, I will.
I won't be under pressure right this second, but we'll show you eventually how we're going to distinguish between the. Yeah, there you go. There's the photos there. So because they're still part of the core recipe, we wanted to keep the white label, but there's a color differences to them and the angle at what they go. So the two black ones, so number 1 and 4, are the chinkapin, peated and unpeated.
Yeah.
Then you have the red wine in the middle, peated and unpeated, and then you have the ex-rye, peated and unpeated. Now, we want to allow people to enjoy the evolution of our casks. So these are going to be 5-year-old, and they'll be released in select markets, so the larger markets predominantly. Then we don't want to, we want to give it time to develop. So it's going to be every 2 years. So 5-year-old this year, 7-year-old in 2 years' time, then 9-year-old in 2028. Is that right? 2028.
Or 6-8, yeah.
Yeah, it'll come round like a flash. We'll be doing these tastings again in 4 years, and it'll be we won't know how it's happened.
So we are lucky to have the first version of it. So that's what you're saying.
Oh, so the ones you're trying here are the non-age statement versions.
Yeah. So the last version, no age statement.
Yeah, I think it's the last tasting I will probably do of the originals.
Okay.
It was set up obviously with yourselves and Carl, and we shipped them over. But it gives you an idea of where we're trying to go, and I think it shows how you can get. It's the recipe ultimately we're trying to explain here. So, probably should move on then to the ex-bordeaux red wine.
Ed, we're following you.
So ex-bordeaux red wine.
Ask if people want to comment in the comment box if they like the first one. If
it's worth noting they're high char, high toast casks on the chinkapin, so huge amount of residue comes out of the casks when they're emptied, and a lot of flavor.
It's pretty nice.
Barbecue.
Yeah, really nice. Flavored. We taste for sure the level of alcohol also in there, but not that much. It's there, but it's nice. I appreciate that.
I think it's the only. Sorry.
So, no, I was saying we have the oak in there for sure, and as you said, a kind of a barbecue thing also in there. It tastes like this. And a bit of salt also on the lips at the end. So nice. Yeah,
it's quite sweet. I think it's the only Scotch currently that you can try fully matured in chinkapin. Now, Billy Walker quite likes chinkapin oak as well, which is a great thing for us because if he likes it, that's quite good. They are finishes, so both in the Michaeltor peated one and the Glenallachie, they're finishes. So these are fully matured samples.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So we can move on the second one if you want at your at your speed.
Yeah, no, happy to. So ex-bordeaux red wine. So where do we start there? So these are slightly bigger casks. So they're barriques, so 225 liters, as opposed to 190 liters for the ex-rye and the chinkapin virgin oak. Now, a key aspect for us is these are not STR casks. Now, whether people like or don't like STR casks, that's up for debate, but it's fully wet casks that we get delivered from the chateaus. So the three chateaus that we get the cask from generally for our core recipe is Chateau Margaux, Chateau Calon-Segur, Chateau Palmer. So for those of you who like red wine, hopefully you're impressed. I don't particularly know, but everyone knows Margaux and a good chateau. So yeah, and really what it does is it's actually the smallest section of the recipe out of the three cask types. But Alistair explains it as it's like salt and pepper. Salt and pepper are great, but if you add too much of it, it can ruin the meal. And if you add the right amount, it enhances the meal. So for the red wine, it gives that fruity notes. So it's really jammy, like black currants, red currants. It's quite strong, very, very drying, in my opinion, on the unpeated. You find people love that or they don't. And that's what's great about tasting these samples on their own, is that they're individual components. And ultimately, Alistair's job is to make a rounded product, but you're trying the raw components that make the product. So,
that's awesome.
So yeah, see what you think. I've got a question from Andre. Is this edition the same as the While We Wait edition from 2018? So the While We Wait was an independent bottling we did while we waited for our whiskey. It was an undisclosed distillery, so we weren't allowed to say the name of it, Loch Lomond. And and yeah, I think it tried to show a general direction of where we were going with the product. So while it's not a full reflection of the whiskey we have now, it gives an angle of where we went. You know, there was red wine casks, Tuscan oak from Italy. It was a lightly peated element. So totally different liquid, but a general direction of where we were trying to travel. I feel like that was a politician's answer. Is that what you were asking, Andre? Or LOL. I mean, as long as I'm making people laugh, that's a good sign.
And I'm just looking at the comments also. Some talking about the chinkapin really like it. More on the spice than vanilla for sure on the first one. Gary said it's fantastic. I think Gary, you're talking about the second one, if I'm right. Not a big fan of the second one for Felix.
Yeah, I find the red wines are quite divisive. I would almost say it's Lafroig's a great example. People either love it or hate it. You know, you find in these tastings, particularly the unpeated red wine, you get people going, "Oh my god, this is amazing! I love it," and then you get other ones like, "Oh, it's so dry, it's too jammy." And again, that's the beauty of we only release these as single cask. We're not trying to, there's a core product that we try and make with these. Well, not wrong way with these whiskies.
Yeah. The combination is everything. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the second one too.
Yeah,
the ex-bordeaux.
And one thing I would say to the ones who don't like this one, keep a bit and compare it to the peated one. Out of the three comparisons, unpeated to peated, the red wine is the biggest difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So, I mean, we're 2 down. We've still got 4 to go. And, at the end as well, you're welcome. We'll give you some rough proportions to work to. So you can have a 7th homemade Raasay single malt. That's great. So someone's tried the Duncana. I mean, I've actually got a bottle here. We can talk about that at the end. It would be quite good to talk about our general plans and these products, but
I think it would be interesting to talk about it too.
Obviously at the moment we'll go through the kind of core recipe and about 80 to 85% of our casks are in that 3 types. So red wine, rye, that's probably 80%, red wine, rye, and chinkapin virgin oak. I'll give you proportions at the end as well. For the recipe, very rough portions. It'll add up to 105% So
Okay. I heard that you or I read somewhere that you're trying also a Colombian oak.
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so we did. We won Distillery of the Year in the Scotch Whisky Awards in 2022, and we decided to take almost a 5-year-old Four Roses bourbon casks that we had and finish it for 6 weeks in Colombian virgin oak, just to give it a bit of like hit. A little bit of secret news: we've also fully matured some Colombian virgin oak.
Oh.
You know, it's very, very popular with the ones who've been to the warehouse and tried it. You know, Dave Broom, you know, Angus McGrail. It's been very, very popular. So
Okay.
we like giving people what they want. So, you know, yeah, watch the space on the fully matured Colombian virgin oak. It's called Quercus Humboldti. Another really easy word to say. So we just call it Colombian oak.
Colombian oak, yeah. And does it bring really a totally different taste?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, for me, when I joined the whiskey industry and then learned about whiskey, I was always very skeptical about virgin oaks. I thought they would all taste the same. You know, very, very heavy wood. You know, surely an oak cask, but honestly, incredibly different. More like creme brulee, like burnt sugar flavor. And particularly if you compare the Quercus alba on its own, can be pretty hard going.
Yeah.
And then when you try these more unique, kind of more expensive, more mature woods, it's a totally different taste. So, yeah, creme brulee is how I would describe it.
Awesome. Yeah. So Andre was asking this question about the difference that chinkapin and Colombian bring, and I think you just answered right there. So yeah, it's definitely something looking forward to taste too from you guys.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I don't know if people have questions about this second one before we jump in the third one. Just looking at the chat there. Oh, that's all fine. Awesome.
Okay.
So we're following you now on the third one.
Okay, so the ex-rye cask. So lightest in color, as you'll all be aware, if you've got the samples in front of you.
Yeah.
And you know, really, this is more Alistair's stamp on the recipe, because it gives similar taste to bourbon. However, there's two key differences. There's black pepper and spice notes that you get from it. That's very evident in a lot of Raasay whiskies that you try. And there's no secret recipe to why it was chosen. Alistair likes rye whiskey. So if your master distiller likes rye whiskey, then you're going to have rye whiskey elements in your single malt scotch. Again, in the same way as the red wine casks, we're looking to get from, you know, high end, you know, keep the quality high, whatever we do, from design to liquid to cask maturing to fermentation times to the accommodation, the food, etc. So on the rye, we've had initially we got cask from Woodford Reserve and Buffalo Trace, and in the last 18 months we've been working exclusively with Sagamore Distillery in Baltimore, which more aligned with our size. We can guarantee supply of casks as well. So yeah, I would say the rye element of our maturation process is probably it's the most striking feature. You know, our core casks are ex-rye casks as opposed to ex-bourbon, which, if there's a group I don't need to explain why we have bourbon casks in Scotland, it is Passion Whisky Quebec. So
yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. It definitely gives a different element. I mean, particularly in the Duncana, which I know we're not tasting right now, but you know, total different complexion to a sherry finish because of the rye. And I think that's really what gives it that very distinct Raasay taste. You can spot a Raasay, and I think it's down to the rye flavor. You still get the butterscotch and vanilla. It is a Quercus alba cask. It'd be worth noting. I feel like I've given Quercus alba quite a hard time so far, but the vast majority of casks in North America are Quercus alba, which slightly less soft, but the more plentiful wood.
And talking about the cask, let's say providers for you, we had that discussion a few days ago with some people. There are a lot of distilleries that basically buy cask, but not full cask. They just buy, I would call that staves.
Staves, yeah.
And just create a new cask in Scotland at the distillery or with the subcontractors. So do you buy the cask itself and ship the full cask like this, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, generally the cask will come full. Coopers, so it will go to cooperage before, and they're looking for tightening of the bands, repairs and so on. Generally cask will come fully built up. Particularly shipping containers are big and so on. That changed, in the modern kind of era. That's more experimental is what you're talking about, Eric, which is happening. You get 2 different staves all the way around. And it's happening for sure. And there will be releases, really wacky releases coming, not from us, but from distilleries. Very expensive way, a very uneconomical way to build casks. And I dare say the word marketing comes in a little bit, I would say. But or you could just take 2 casks that are different and mix them together. But everyone,
as you said, marketing is a part of it too.
Oh yeah, look, for Raasay it is too. We're marketing the island, but ultimately it's down to quality, and if there's a way of doing it, whether it's big bulk or small or doing different cask types and so on, then who are we to judge? And what's amazing about Scotch is the rules are so tight. There's just so little room to play with, and we always find ways to make different whiskies. I mean, if you were to tell someone who had no idea about Scotch, I went, all right, so they've got all these rules. It's very, very similar. And there's 150 malt distilleries in Scotland. I mean, it's quite incredible, really.
Yeah, you're right. So I'm looking at the comments there. So love the spicy finish on the rye. I love rye, basically. Favorite so far for Gary. So this rye. The Scotch, pepper, spice. Like it too.
Good.
Don't see a lot of rye cask Scotch whiskey. Is this something we will see more? So for sure we can have one with you for that version. But rye was not a cereal used a lot in Scotland. But do you see on your side maybe more distilleries starting to use rye?
Yeah, I think so. I don't ever think it'll be mainstream. It's not going to replace bourbon, ex-bourbon casks. But I think, you will see, experimenting, and, it's a busier market, it's a busier crowd. So people are trying new things. And I think it's a fair assumption, Gary, to think we will see more. How much more, who knows? But there'll definitely be releases, I would say. I think there's been a few. I think there was a Jura rye finish.
Maybe.
Potentially. But no, you're right there.
So a question, do you import your malted barley from Portland or local barley that you do yourself? I know you have your fields. Is that in there or not yet? Or
so looking at the geography from that video, it's very hard to grow commercial barley in the west of Scotland. It just doesn't happen. We're in a rugged terrain, so we do get our barley from elsewhere. I think key aspects is on all the larger bottles. I can't remember on the minis. It says Scottish barley malted with Highland peat.
Yeah.
And we've used different maltsters from Baird's and Inverness to crisp down at the borders. But it has to be Scottish barley for us. And it has to be Highland peat. So it gives a more light. This is a really good intro question, Francois.
For the peated,
Yeah, exactly. So it needs to be a bit lighter. So, Port Ellen was owned by Diageo. They have historically supplied the whole of Islay. Very medicinal. So the peats from Islay, heavy, smooth, super smoky. Now we can have the same ppm levels from peat that's taken from Tom and Tool in the Cairngorms, but the smoke taste will be way different. Yeah. It's like burning a wet piece of log and a dry piece of log. That's the easiest explanation. So in the Highlands, we're burning dry logs, cleaner kind of smoke. Islay's burning wet logs. It's much, much thicker, smokier. So, we use different maltings, Scottish barley. We have grown a small amount of barley on Raasay, heritage barley from the Arctic. But there's not many of those casks around. So we're keeping them for the side for another time.
Okay, so you continue to do that year over year, or it was just an experience for 1 or 2 years and you stopped that?
Yeah, good question. So we did it for 3 years, then COVID stopped us. We've not picked it up again. Quite frankly, there's not the infrastructure for barley growth in the West Coast. So we had to get a combine harvester from Orkney. You guys know the geography of Scotland. That's not very economical.
Yeah.
The yield's pretty low, but that's okay. We would grow it anyway. But also, it's the know-how and people who can harvest it. Farming, of livestock clashes with the time of harvest, and I would like to pick it up again. I think it's something we will do again. It's priorities. As a small distillery, it's like, you
need to pick your fight,
pick your battles. But I hope. And I speak for everyone at the distillery, we will pick it up again soon.
Awesome. So looking at the comments, so that's good. Lighter peat, like them in towel.
Yeah. Will we get onto the peated whiskies? If just give.
I already have it in my glass.
Oh, you have. Sorry, we're chatting away here.
No, that's fine.
So peated chinkapin. If I was talking about barbecue flavor before, way more. It's got that smoky kind of element to it. Much more heavier spirit. So we have the line arm on. The distillery is built in a way you can make different spirit types, and more sticky, more flavorsome. Clearly you can see my preferences are in the peated there, but I think it gives a good representation of Island whiskey, Highland, rugged West Coast flavor. So, let's see what you think. You know the flavor profile of the casks already, so really it's more about how the peat and the spirit type interacts with that peat on these ones.
Yeah, there's still the spice there.
Mm-hmm.
The spice are there, but as you said, I feel it like more sticky. That's what you said, and I think that's it. It's there. It's still there. It's like it's definitely not a light product that you just sip as a water. It's there. It stays in the mouth.
Yeah, and you've got to remember as well that this particular cask, I think it's 3.5 years old. Also shows color. Well, it's a good group to talk to because I don't have to explain all these things. But color, perception of whiskey is really down to cask. It's down to spirit. It's what you're looking for. Are you looking for clean and fresh? Are you looking for heavier and more sticky? And this for us in the recipe really is the sticky, heavy element. Gives a lot. It's a lot of color, a lot of heavy flavors. Very, very early.
I like it.
Yeah,
we like this one. For David, he said prefer the ex-bordeaux for now.
Okay, so the ex-bordeaux, the unpeated. I mean, that shows it's.
We'll see the peated ex-bordeaux to see if he likes it.
Yeah, I
Chinkapin
suppose
is
it
a
should.
close second one to me for David. More balanced with Pete. Chinkapin with Pete is more balanced for Gary. Similar to a Lafroig. How would you comment this?
Sorry?
How would you respond to this? Do you think it's
I mean, Lafroig's pretty heavy. It's
more smoke?
probably the closest thing we have to it. But I think that's a fair assessment. It's heavier spirit. It's more smoky. But Lafroig's another level. Like, we're talking medicinal medicine, which again, I was speaking about the ex-bordeaux. People either love it or don't. Lafroig is very, and they do a great job in the marketing with that. They're like, you either love us or you don't. And Lafroig is a beast on its own.
Absolutely, yeah. So Dominique said prefer ex-bordeaux for originality of this product. So let's see what maybe the second one that peated Bordeaux looks like then.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So, as I said, for me, I feel it's the most different between the three. The peat, for me, in the unpeated, and again, I'm talking just myself. You know, Alistair will have a different opinion. William will have a different opinion, and Gregor. I find the unpeated quite dry. So on the finish, kind of soaks up very quickly. It's like drinking Ribena without the water. It's like quite like holds in your mouth. What the peat does is it allows the finish to be slower. So the flavor doesn't dry up as quick. The peat makes it hang around. You know, it's cask strength again, but very jammy, very fruity, and that red currants, black currants I was speaking about, very much on the flavor profile.
Yeah, Andre mentioned that he had some cereal mash flavor on the unpeated, and he doesn't have that on this one. And I kind of agree with him on this comment.
I find it salty as well.
The second one, the peated one?
Yeah, peated one. I find it salty. I find the red wine cask generally salty, but it's sulfuric, maybe a bit of salt in there.
Yeah. Ash, maybe a kind of ash as well.
Yeah. These are medium char, so they're not as burnt to death as the chinkapin. I can't overstate how burnt the chinkapin casks are. It's like pouring an ashtray out at the end. I know that doesn't sound very, very appealing, but there's just loads of wood chips, and it's it's the way to get into the wood on the virgin oak, and burn, gives you some of that flavors as well.
So yeah, Andre,
we only get these.
Green wood on the unpeated, and then it doesn't get that on the peated. Salty and fresh for this one. David said number one for him. Yeah, and I think the originality of the Bordeaux with the peated brings another layer. Exactly as you mentioned, it's totally different, and for me, it's almost the preferred one also.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I've been doing these tastings almost 5 years now in terms of the samples from 5 years old to now. And watching them evolve has been quite incredible. And that's part of why we came up with this idea of doing the non-age statement, the 5-year-old, the 7-year-old, the 9-year-old, because they do change. Some of them better, some of them not. I mean, I remember the peated red wine was quite frankly undrinkable at 20 months old. And then at 3.5 years old, it's my favorite whiskey out of the 6. And, watching it get into the wood. And I think that's the nice thing about you guys following a new distillery as well. You can see how we've evolved, how we communicate, how the liquid, how the cask maturation, the different types. It's,
Yeah, and
which you
honestly,
can't do. You know, I know.
yeah, it's been
Sorry,
awesome
please.
to be there since the beginning for us. We ordered the While We Wait. That was our first order, and then the first release and the first commercial release, and then the other releases, gas strength and the sherry, and it's really nice to start at the beginning of a distillery life like this and grow with you. And we're really lucky to have that opportunity. I don't know. They have there was a question before, so about the market. So I know Quebec market is pretty small, but you're a small distillery too. So are you selling basically just to small markets to not? I mean, just sell everything to, let's say, China, because they can buy everything in one order, and you sold everything. Are you focusing on reaching more whiskey passionate people or whiskey lovers, or is that the way you sell?
Yeah, good question. So we sell in over 40 markets, so including all the big ones. So, you know, US, yeah, Canada, then all of Western Europe, a lot of Eastern Europe, China, Taiwan, Japan, South Korea. Really, it's a combination. As a brand, you're trying to grow organically. People want to learn. Oh, I see Raasay, the more general consumer. But really, you know, people who take interest in us and grow with us, like that's what we want too. And I think actually Quebec's a really good example that we use. You know, we do very well, you know, we're, for a small distillery with SAQ. That comes down to Carl's passion. You know, you guys have supported us. You know, whiskey lovers talk to other whiskey people and they ask for advice and, oh, what do you think of this? And, you know, that's why we put the effort into Quebec, really. You know, I came over twice last year. We're coming back over again in November. Doing this tasting. You know, it's not a job that, you know, it's late at night here in the UK. It's easy for us because you guys support us. What we're not going to do is pour money in a country just because it's big. You know, if you're not getting traction or you're not getting, you know, the right connections, then you know, you support who supports you, basically. So long story short, the big markets matter, but the ones that gain traction, you'll support more. So China is going quite well. I think that question might be, would we sell all our stock to China? We purposely don't do that because you have to keep your cards in all different places, you know, based on how the world looks a bit different that 30 years ago when I was 5 years old in Scotland.
Yeah.
And it might look pretty different again at 65. So
Yeah.
but yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we're really lucky to have that let's say history with you from the beginning, and yeah, SAQ bought like 2 products, and we do private imports with Passion Whisky Québec with probably 4 or 5 different products, and your gin as well and everything. So all together,
and you know, that's not unnoticed. You know, like it costs us money and significant money to come over. You know, my French is beyond appalling. Le Grand tasting, the Grand dégustation. You know, it costs money to come there, but we want to come and you know, support. You can't just, you know, nothing happens without effort. And you know, Carl in particular has been great, and you know, yourself. You know, we've always kept in touch, and I think the biggest thing here is how do you all get to Raasay? I think that's the
as long as you do good products, I mean, you will have good base, good fan bases for sure. I'm just saying at it's keeping still here a bit. Try to experiment.
Yeah, I'm David. I'm not giving you the one more whiskey, and then we'll do the. I know we're running a bit over, so why don't we do the last one?
Yeah, let's do this. I was just about to pour it.
Okay, and then we can do the proportions.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got the ex-rye peated. Probably, I shouldn't say my favorite, but I think it's really characteristic of Raasay. What Alistair wanted out of the recipe. It's the peated element really helps it grow and, you know, not have that bite. 52 parts per million in the barley that we get from the peated. Obviously, the residual's less, and we spoke about the Highland peat too. So it is less smoke, even though the raw numbers are quite high. It's a bit more mellow. Sorry, I've just seen a question there that I want to answer. I'll answer it soon. So yeah, see what you think. Why don't I just give the proportions now, given our time constraints? Yeah.
So yeah, we're good. We can go ahead and take time to taste this one and go through a few questions. So
yeah.
anything you want to share on this one is fine.
Yeah, cool. I'll give the proportions then, just because David was asking. So approximately half or a bit more is the ex-rye. So it's 50-50 unpeated, okay? So 50-50 both. 50-50 on the peated, unpeated. But 50 to 60% rye, about 20 to 30% chinkapin, and about 10 to 20% red wine. Now you'll see that doesn't match up exactly, but that's the whole point, is for you guys to try and work out. That's the kind of band. Alistair describes it as a cake. So the rye is the sponge, the chinkapin's the cream, and the red wine's the jam.
Okay. Jam
on its own's horrible, or not horrible. Jam on its own's great, but you can't eat much of it. Red wine. Chinkapin's the cream. You can eat a bit of it, but it needs the sponge, and then the sponge is pretty dry like the other two. So it's a great analogy of using the three together.
Yeah, these three things working together the right way. Yeah, exactly.
And if you have a room of 30 people, 3 people quite like eating jam on its own, but the other 27 don't. And that's maybe the people who go, I love the unpeated Bordeaux. But what you need to try and do with a wider product is have a rounded feel. But because we're all bakers, we know our cakes.
Yeah.
It's an analogy, terrible analogy.
No, that's fine. Looking at the questions, well, Francois is maybe looking to go on the island, asking outside of the 6 rooms at the distillery, is there any other hotels on the island, or people have to go stay on Skye and then just go for a day on Raasay?
Yeah, so there's a seasonal hotel, community owned, called Raasay House. So it's open normally around April, shut about October. It's got over 20 rooms. So yeah, you can have weddings, big groups. We also host weddings too. But yeah, there's a bit of synergy in working together with events with Raasay House. So no, we can definitely host a lot of you. You just need to charter a plane from Montreal.
Yeah.
You can't directly go to Raasay. The closest airport is Inverness, and it's not that big.
It's going to be like
it's a magical place. It's, our accommodation is fully booked months in advance these days.
Yeah, I imagine. Another question here, with the increase of in the demand of your product, and maybe growing a little bit more or something like that, do you have more people coming in on the island to stay? Do you see a grow in the number of people on the island? I think so.
Yeah, the answer is yes. So we still say, on tastings, I will say there's 161 people in Raasay. There's probably a bit more now. You're looking at just under 180. We will change the bottle number when the government census is complete. So every 10 years, they'll do a census on the number population. We will change that based on that. So there is one due. It was delayed from COVID. It is due probably this year. So there will be a change in the number on here. Marketing might know already, but I think it's around 178, 179.
Big growth.
That's huge. It's like there's skyscrapers being built now.
And you said 32 people work at the distillery, so it's roughly 1/5 of the population working at the distillery, and I imagine the rest is like services for the distillery and the school and a grocery store and everything. So pretty much everything is around the distillery and tourism probably on the island.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a huge amount of other employment. For example, the school, there's 5 children in the school, so there's one teacher. The ferry's the other big employer. There's a few things, and there's a lot of retirees. So I think we probably employ 1/3 of the working population. if not maybe slightly less, but around there. So no, I mean, a lot of young people. If you see that video, pretty young group, like, which my experience of islands and my family is, most of my family have moved away, particularly the cousins that I knew in North Uist, and Brora. My mother's from Brora, which a lot of you guys will know, Brora.
Yeah.
It's just my auntie and her husband left.
Okay.
Everyone's moved to London, Edinburgh, Aberdeen. So to
Yeah.
have jobs in these areas is pretty cool. Like,
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, and it's good for me as a Highlander to represent that. It's so nice to see.
So with all these young people coming in, someone say baby boom is coming.
Our operations directors had two, both boys. There's all the kids in the school at the moment are boys, and the two under 5 are boys. So they have to go off the island to try and to continue the population growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there is a lot of young people, so maybe, I mean, I don't want to, I wouldn't want to comment, but
No. I've stayed in the distillery last year. I can't wait to go back for longer to take time to explore the island and take the time to visit the bar. So I don't know who is it, Uber Valiant. So Gary said there's a big buzz about the Don Canna. So you mentioned that a little bit. Maybe you can just give us some quick notes about this product.
Yeah, I'm happy to drink it, by the way. So
yeah. I cannot do that.
I know, sorry. Although you are the only market in Canada that got the first batch because the SAQ took it on. So yeah, we did 15,000 bottles. It's matured in ex-rye casks for like 3.5 to 4 years, and then around 9 months in quarter cask sherry, PX and Oloroso. It's 52% ABV. And yeah, I think the reason it's gone so well is it's got the sherry influence, but it's not a sherry bomb. You can really, you've got a rye, a good quality spirit, and yeah, it's gone really well. I mean, we got best whiskey in the London Whiskey Awards, which got picked up by Forbes magazine. Loads of Americans started buying it online straight away. It sold out within 6 weeks to trade. So we had 15,000 bottles. They were all allocated, whether it was to Quebec or to US or Germany, France, UK. So it's yeah, I think testament again to the good quality spirit. It's more expensive, but people don't mind paying more for good quality product. And I think
you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's called Dún Canna because of the peak at the top of Raasay. So that's the flat top, that's quite distinctive when you're looking on it from the mainland of Skye. And then the quarter casks. It's a really big thing because the high surface area to liquid means it cooks quickly. Yeah. Something that would take about 3 years to do, quarter cask does it in 9 months.
Yeah.
So PX and all that.
So there is this way it tastes like rubber a little bit. The PEATED ex-rye. Francois said is jumping on a flight right away to go see you.
Nice, good.
Personal comment, probably share. Going to Raasay by car and ferry coming from Inverness is a blast. Going through Skye, seeing Skye from Raasay itself.
Who's saying that? Because there's 2 ways to go from Inverness. I hope we took the top road. The top road's the most fun.
Okay.
There's a tip for y'all.
Okay, I'll think about that. Yeah, and that's good. I think we went through pretty much all of the comments and questions there. I'm just going back a little bit. Going quickly. I don't think I missed a lot. So if people still have questions, it's the time. Yeah, David said about this that he take the top one.
Top road, good man. You can do a lot of speeding on that road from Aknasheen down the hill. No, I would never do that. I would never.
No. And you never said that. Never said that. So yeah, it was honestly very interesting. I did not have the chance to do it when you were here in Quebec a year ago. I was unavailable at that time, but really happy to have the opportunity this time to be able to do it. It's really nice to taste the ingredients and then see how all together it's an art. Really, it's something that you not everyone can do. Bring all these ingredients together to do something that is tasty and nice, and so I really appreciate that. And the good thing is that with Carl, with the agency of you in Quebec, we will offer the opportunity to buy these casks. So buy these bottles basically individually. So people, if they prefer the Bordeaux, they can just buy the Bordeaux. If they prefer the the peated or unpeated rye or ex-rye, that's pretty nice for you also to have to bring to the market this opportunity. It's something that other distilleries could have done a lot before, but never done. So it's a nice thing for you to bring that opportunity for whiskey lovers.
Yeah, and can I just say to yourself and for Carl, you put a lot of effort into getting that in. It's not easy, and a lot of the other monopolies, whether it's Scandinavia or other provinces, don't put that effort in to get these bottles into the hands of members and your friends. So you should be commended for that. It takes a lot of work and effort from you guys too. So you're a good group.
I'm looking back at the comments here. Just people, thank you. So thank you very much, François, Benoit, André. That was very interesting. No question. Looking forward to for this excellent whiskey. Thank you for the excellent whiskey. Thank you very much. So yeah, awesome. So Scott, again, really appreciate it. Thank you everyone for participating in this tasting. And for those of you who are looking live or in the next few days, just look at the Passion Whisky Québec page, or just put your email in the and register to receive the newsletter, and you will see in the next few days, few weeks, the group to order these products. So you will be able to pick one or many of these bottles and buy them. Buy the one you like the most. Awesome, great evening. Thank you very much. It was great experience. Just bought a bottle of Duncana live on the SAQ website. So good, Gary.
Thank you, guys.
Great, Scott.
Yeah.
Again, it was a pleasure. Really looking forward to see you in Scotland. I'm looking to do this travel in the next months or for sure year. And again, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. It's late for you now, so we appreciate that on a Friday evening. And looking forward for additional meeting maybe in November, as you said, in Quebec City, or through the web. So again,
no. I'd love to. Quebec City is an incredible place, so I'd love to come again. But yeah, just finally, thanks for having me. And as an independent small distillery, the impact you guys can have is way more than bigger brands. So thank you for supporting us and getting our word out there. So I hope you all have a good weekend, and we'll see you in November.
Perfect, great. Thank you very much, everyone. So I'm stopping the recording. Maybe Scott, you can just stay a few seconds there. Merci tout le monde. Si vous avez des questions, des commentaires, n'hésitez pas à les partager aussi sur le site de Passion Whisky Québec. Merci. Bonne soirée à tout le monde.